It was a slow Tuesday morning at a small diner off Highway 67, at the kind of place where the coffee is always hot, and everyone knows each other by name. But that day, something extraordinary happened, something that would touch millions of hearts once the story spread online. For 27-year-old waitress Emma Collins, it was just another long shift. She'd been working doubles for weeks, trying to make ends meet after her mother's recent surgery and her own mounting college debt. Her apron was stained from spilled coffee, and her smile, though genuine, hid the exhaustion behind her eyes. She never imagined that one customer, one meal, and one note on a crumpled check would change her life forever. Around 11 a.m., a man walked in. John Kennedy. Not the president, of course, but a kind-faced, middle-aged stranger with the same iconic name that made Emma smile when he introduced himself. He wore a plain navy jacket and carried an old leather notebook. He seemed quiet, polite, and observant, the kind of man who noticed small details others missed. He took a corner booth, ordered a daily special, scrambled eggs, bacon, and coffee, and chatted briefly with Emma. She noticed his eyes soften when she mentioned she was saving to go back to school to finish her nursing degree. He listened, not with pity, but with genuine empathy. When his meal was done, he lingered a moment before asking for the check. Emma, busy attending to another table, didn't notice when he tucked something beneath the folded receipt and quietly left. Minutes later, she returned to clear the table and froze. The tip line wasn't empty. Instead of the usual few dollars, there was a check for $10,000, written out to her name. Her hands trembled. For a moment, she thought it had to be a mistake, until she saw the handwritten note at the bottom. You mentioned wanting to help people one day. You already do. Never stop being kind. It changes lives. John Kennedy. Emma's knees nearly gave out. Tears streamed down her face as she clutched the note to her chest. The other staff gathered around, thinking something was wrong, until they saw the check and read the message. The entire diner fell silent. Even the old jukebox seemed to pause. Later that day, Emma shared the story online, not for attention, but to express gratitude. She didn't know how to reach John Kennedy, and she wasn't even sure if that was his real name. But the internet did what it does best. It spread the story like wildfire. Within hours, thousands of people were sharing her post, adding their own stories of kindness and hope. What followed was even more unbelievable. A few days later, Emma received a letter in the mail, handwritten, with no return address, only the initials JK. Inside was a short message. The world needs more nurses, more hearts like yours. When life gives you a gift, pass it forward someday. Emma did just that. She used the money to pay for her mother's remaining hospital bills and enrolled back in nursing school. She graduated 2 years later, top of her class. Today, she works at a community hospital, helping families who can't afford proper care, just as she once couldn't. Whenever people ask her what inspired her to keep going, she tells them about the stranger named John Kennedy, about the note on a diner check that changed her life, about how a small act of kindness can ripple outward in ways no one can predict. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this story, a few months ago, Emma paid it forward. She quietly covered the tuition fees of a struggling single mother studying to become a paramedic, signing the donation card with 3 familiar words: pass it forward. In a world so often weighed down by worry and hardship, Emma's story reminds us that compassion still exists, that one gesture, one note, one act of kindness can light a spark strong enough to change a life forever. Sometimes, the greatest heroes don't wear capes. Sometimes, they just leave a note on a check, and walk away.